The greatest thing about camping is getting outdoors and enjoying nature at its finest. One of the best ways to do that is to boondock in a beautiful place like this and wake up to one of the most incredible views of your life.
Yeah.
And this is where we woke up this morning. Incredible spot.
And when we woke up, it was covered in clouds, so it felt like you were literally floating in air.
In fact, these clouds are still burning off, but we have an amazing view. Last night we had thunder and lightning and rain, and we wake up to this incredible weather, nice and warm. Now we live full time in our Escape 23 travel trailer, which means it's exceedingly rare for us to ever plug in. We live entirely off of solar. But does it ever feel like we're missing anything?
No, absolutely not. We have everything that any comfort of any home would have. We were able to wake up this morning and look out the window and drink some hot cocoa and just kind of relax and enjoy just like you would in your normal house.
We bring our own water, we make our own power, and we're gonna tell you how to do that. Oh, and how wonderful is it? We can watch the train right down there, the Amtrak passing. That's pretty great.
That's pretty awesome.
Now the way that we live is frequently called boondocking. And boondocking is essentially you find a remote spot, and for example, we had a nice long road on the way in here, good and bumpy, dusty, and the trees were a little tight.
Yeah, it was a real skinny road coming in.
We picked our spot, and we have everything that we need.
We are totally self-contained, so we don't need to worry about hookups of any kind anywhere.
Now, if you want a boondock, the first thing you're gonna do, obviously, pick your spot. You're gonna drop that jack, disconnect if you so choose, although you don't always have to disconnect. In our case, we went ahead, we disconnected, we dropped our jacks down here, and before all of that, you wanna make sure you chalk your tires. So ideally you chalk front and rear, and on the other side, we even used some big boulders, some stones to go ahead and chalk those. Now, one little tip here is we have our jacks fully extended and they wouldn't be able to make contact at all because, as you can see, the ground slopes. Well, we have these are called ox blocks. There are various sorts, but these little blocks, and we have them on all 5 posts here, we'll go ahead and extend our reach, which is a wonderful thing to have.
The stabilizer jacks really help with the rockiness in the rig when you're walking around, so it doesn't feel like you're on a boat. It feels like you're in stable ground and you're in a house.
Like a regular home, yeah. And along with the tires being chalked, it just feels really, really stable. Kind of a nice thing when you're on the side of a hill. Now, there's one other feature that really helps in an instance like this, where we can pick some very nice remote spots, which is the lift kit. Now, the Escape 23 has a 3-inch lift by default. It's built in. That was absolutely necessary because otherwise we would not have been able to make it into this spot. There are some spots that are a lot flatter, they're easier to get into, so don't let that dissuade you if you don't have it, but if you want to get really off-grid and not see people for a while, it's a nice feature to have, and in fact, a must-have for us. Now, when we ventured out and before we even picked our spot, because sometimes we don't know where we're going until we get there, we went ahead and filled our freshwater tanks and dumped our gray and black tanks. Now, we have over 40 gallons of water on board. It's a pretty good sized tank. Now, what that really means is that we can cook and wash hands and take showers and fill our dog water bowl, all that good stuff. Well, you don't have to leave until that is empty. Now, some folks will decide that they want to go ahead and bring more water. You can use little containers, say 5-gallon containers, or you can use a large water bladder. Personally, we have found that we can stay off-grid, especially when we minimize how much water we're using. So, for example, if you're washing dishes or brushing your teeth or washing your hands, etc., you can go ahead and just turn the water on low. Generally, you actually don't need nearly as much water as you think, and pressure is usually not needed. While you're brushing your teeth, go ahead and shut that faucet off. And the same principle applies to the shower as well. So we can go ahead and we can limit using this little switch here, and there are third-party options as well. But this will go ahead and I can use 10 to 15 to 20% of the water rather than 100% of the water. I don't need that much pressure realistically. Now I'll go ahead and I'll rinse off, then I'll go ahead and soap up, shutting this guy off while I'm doing so, because you don't need water while you're doing that. And then when I'm ready to, I'll go ahead and rinse off once again, and then rinse and repeat. Now, we're not hooked up to city water, so how are we getting water flow? It's very simple. Right up here, we have a little switch. It'll say water pump. And in fact, we have a little water heater switch. So because we have a propane and electric unit, we just flip the propane burner on. Once that's switched on, after about 30 minutes, we have hot water. And then the water pump will, of course, take that water and run it all through your pipes. Very simple. The one thing to remember, of course, is that once you're done using hot water, shower and rinsing dishes and all that good stuff, go ahead and shut that off. Now, by doing so, of course, you're gonna save some propane. Propane is one of those things that once you run out, life can get a little bit less convenient, let's say. Another thing you can do is you can use a little basin and you can plug your sink to go ahead and wash dishes just in a bowl, and you can reuse that water if you're so inclined. If you find that you're going through water pretty quickly, the same principle applies in the shower. You can go ahead and in that sink, you can go just plug that sink. You can fill that with soap and a washcloth, and then you can go ahead and clean yourself that way. That will extend that water tank much further. And if you want to avoid washing dishes altogether, we can go ahead and look for biodegradable plates. They're a great option. Use paper plates. Use them. Maybe use them more than once, depending on what kind of meals you have. And then when you're done with them, go ahead and toss them. Now let's talk about food. So for dry goods, it's an easy solution. Of course, we have our cabinet up here. We keep our lighter weight stuff, let's say noodles and things like that. We'll keep that up here. And then canned goods we'll keep down low. We want the heavy stuff down low. Really helps with towing as well. But then we need to keep certain things, say meats and frozen berries and things like that. We have to keep those cold. So there's a couple of things to note about this. Now, our fridge is a two-way fridge. So if I go ahead and press the mode button, you can see there's a little droplet. That is for propane. So right now our fridge is running off of propane. Generally you want to be about level for this, but we are currently not very level and it still works just fine. We'll go to mode here, and then I can switch it over to automatic, and because we are running our inverter, it'll go ahead and pull from power. Now this fridge is very power hungry. This will take about 330 watts, and it does cycle on and off, but I find that the warmer it is outside, of course, the longer it goes in between cycle intervals. So this guy it'll suck 330 watts out of your battery bank, no problem. There are also DC options. Now, I like this one because while it still takes a little bit of DC, this can run off of propane. So as long as we have propane and it just sips it, this guy is good to go, does not touch our batteries at all. But let's talk about electrical. Now up here we have the digital multi-control panel. And so we have charger only off and on, and ours stays on 100% of the time. And we do monitor things intermittently here. And so right now, for example, we're getting 573 watts from our roof panels. 77 watts are going into our batteries right now. And our AC loads are at 39 watts, and our DC loads, lights, fans, etc., 50 watts. Now hopefully that's not too confusing for you, and if it is, we have a whole power video for you. Essentially what this is I am watching this and I like to see our batteries at 100%. Now we have upgraded our batteries, and I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to power stuff. I love off-grid power. So I'm watching this, and right now we're at 71% state of charge. That means that we have 71% worth of our battery power. But if this gets up to 100, that is awesome. And at that point, generally speaking, especially if we are getting over 300 watts from our panels, I'll go ahead and flip this guy over to electric. That'll save us on propane. I might even let this go down to say 80% state of charge before I flip this back over to propane, because we are going to use our electric for other things. Of course, we want lights, we charge our computers, we charge our phones. We even run an air fryer, which takes about 1900 watts on and off. I don't feel like we're lacking for anything. In fact, you can see we have other little gadgets and all these things. Now you might have a microwave as well, and some folks will have an electric cooktop and all that good stuff. So you can configure these all variously. But for us, we don't feel like we're missing out on anything. Now, what can you do to save power? Because sometimes you just don't have enough solar. Well, there's a couple of things. So for us, we went ahead and opted for a propane burner because we wanted to make sure that even if we don't have the ability to run the air fryer, and by the way, we use this less and less, if we don't have the ability to run the air fryer, we still want to be able to cook, of course. So as long as we have propane, we're good to go there. We did decide on a two-way fridge for the exact reason, but we do keep it in electric somewhere around, say 20 to 30% of the time. Now, as of right now, you can see that I want to charge up as fast as possible. Our lights are off. But you might wonder, okay, is it really dark in here? As you can see, it's really not. There's a couple of things that help with that. We chose a very light interior. That's a nice thing. We also chose to get the front window. That front window has helped a lot, not only with getting cross breeze, but with letting that light in. Because as you can see, we have a bug net and then you have a blackout. I'll keep that front one at about the 50% position so that I'm waking up with the sun, which is such a wonderful thing. And no matter the season, there are a few things you can do temperature control wise to help you save energy. So we have a 12-volt air conditioner. We swapped that out and we tested that out. Now it's still pretty power hungry. On low, it can run at 300 watts, but if you're in the middle of the Nevada desert, in the middle of summer, that's gonna cook you at about 900 watts, somewhere in there. Instead of that, of course, you can always move your wheels. If you don't have the option, but say it's about 80 degrees, one thing that we can do is either crack or completely open these windows. This is very important to get good ventilation in here. And then we can run our max air fan. And the max air fan is a wonderful thing. That thing, unless we are heating it in here, that thing almost never closes. We want to make sure we get that fresh air. It's very important. Now, if you have the Houghton or the Coleman air conditioner, you are probably not going to be running that off your system. Now, we have a larger array. So we have 800 watts on our roof, and then our truck even has solar panels. That allows us to go ahead and still be charging while we're running our air conditioner in the middle of the day, but overnight that is going to deplete us pretty quickly. So if you've gone ahead and upgraded your solar panels, you might get a maximum of 800 watts. Now, solar is a whole separate topic, of course, and you're never going to get a perfect amount of solar energy, but you know, right now, of course, we have pretty good sun, and I am still pulling in 578 watts, which is a good thing. But if my air conditioner takes 1,500 watts, something like that, of course, that's not going to cut it. So now we're cutting into the batteries. So how long can we run that air conditioner for? Well, somewhere around 2 to 3 hours, you know, depending on the battery bank that you have. Now, of course, you have more power coming in, but you're drawing more. So it's always a balancing act, is all it is. For us, though, if we can avoid running that AC, we want to, even a 12-volt one like this. Some air conditioners, like the Houghton, even have a heat pump built in, which is a very nice thing. Some will have a heat strip. But those technologies, while being wonderful, are very power resource intense. So we want to go ahead and not use that unless we want to deplete our batteries pretty quickly. 1,500 watts is a considerable load. That leads me to this little guy. Now, this is our propane furnace, and this is a wonderful piece of technology. This one is extremely efficient and will heat this whole space even on this E23 using a little thermostat. You can go ahead and set that point at which you want this guy to turn on, and we will keep it on the lowest setting when, for example, last night, it's gone ahead and dropped below freezing. The escapes are constructed in such a way that they're a very efficient design and they're very compact, so you have less space to heat. This is wonderful, but it will eat some DC power. In fact, if we go ahead and we look up here, we can see right now our DC loads are about 50 watts. And if I go ahead and I turn on our furnace, let's see what kind of load that takes. And a lot of it is that blower motor. And now that it's warming in here, we're seeing it's taking about 30 to 50 watts, right in that range consistently. It has not jumped up beyond 50 watts total. That is a wonderful thing because of the compact size and the compact need here. It's very, very efficient. How long can you run that? Well, ideally you're getting good sun in the day, so you'll replenish your batteries, but it all does depend on how much battery power that you have. Now, say you have 200 amp hours of lithium. You can run those down pretty low. Those batteries exist under your dinette there. So if one battery is 1,280 watts, two batteries would be about 2,560 watts. So if this was the only thing running, no lights and whatnot, it will give you an estimate on this display. But say it was 50, you would divide 2,560, again, saying that's the only thing running, 2,560 divided by 50, and that will give you how many hours you can run. Now, under our couch, we've gone ahead and upgraded our batteries ourselves, but that is a pretty intensive process. That is something you can order from the factory as well, which is a nice deal. But for those technically inclined, go ahead and upgrade that, and you just have a little bit less to worry about. Now, people will ask, how much solar should I get? I always say get the maximum that you can, unless you're running a generator. If you are running a generator, you can go ahead, small or large bank, you can run that generator to top you right off. For some folks, electricity is actually the limiting factor, not water. But for us, it's generally water. We never run out of power. And it's just a matter of, if you notice that your batteries are going down in charge, just go ahead and slow down on how much you use, how much you plug in. And you can even use the breakers that are right under here and shut things off selectively.
Depending on which way you park can really help or hurt your experience here boondocking, and especially depending on what season you're in. So for example, depending on which way you park, your solar panels are going to get more or less sun directly or indirectly. You also can put your awning out to help shade sides of your trailer when you're parked in warm places, and that'll help keep the direct sunlight off that side of your rig. You want that definitely pointing south, that way the big broad side of your trailer is most covered by the shade. In the winter, we may not want to use our awning at all because we want that sun hitting our rig and really warming it up naturally inside. Another thing that you can take into consideration is look ahead at the weather forecast, figure out what the temperature is supposed to be, pack clothes accordingly, bring things that you can layer and unlayer. Like I always tend to have a vest That way you can keep yourself warm without having to turn something on. I know a question that a lot of people have is, how long can I boondock for? And there's not like a clear-cut answer to that question because it really depends on you, what systems you have in place, and how you're conserving your power and water usage. While we don't mind a cozy day inside, when you're out boondocking, the point is really to be outside in nature and doing things, like in this beautiful setting. So for us, we really try to take advantage of being outside and turning everything off inside to really reserve our resources. When we can, we shut things off so that our solar panels can just top off our batteries and we have no worries about power. And obviously we're not using water if we're not in the rig either.
Now on board, we have a black tank. Now what that means is that when we go ahead and we use the bathroom, it all holds in a wastewater tank down below, our black tank. That's not a limiting factor for us from what we have seen. However, when you flush that toilet, it does have to use some water to rinse out.
Yeah.
There are composting toilets. Now we've had both styles. Are there any considerations that you can think of?
I prefer the black tank and the regular flush toilet personally. I think like don't throw anything in the toilet that you wouldn't normally want in the toilet.
Wipes.
Use a trash can.
Yep.
For like any sort of
hygiene products and
hygiene
such.
product. Yep. I also think one consideration that I make is like how frequently I wash my hair. So I actually only wash my hair once every 6 days. Fun fact.
Still healthy.
It's still healthy, but what I do in the meantime is I use dry shampoo. I try to like style my hair based on how long it's been since I've washed it. So you'll notice the hairstyles get a little more unhinged as I haven't washed my hair. Right, like, and I try to plan my hair washes around what I know we're going to be doing. Like if I want my hair to look cute, then I'll make sure to wash my hair and then wait, you know, kind of plan accordingly. But if you're out boondocking, you don't necessarily need to look that cute.
We'll turn the water on. We'll go ahead, allow it to heat up, and then shut it off. And then we can both take showers based on that. Yeah. We try not to use more than a gallon or two with our showers. Hair days though, those are one of the things that when you are washing your hair, obviously it takes a lot more to rinse out because you don't want to leave a lot of stuff in there.
Right, well, and what I do is I turn the water on, get it wet, turn the water off, shampoo, turn the water on, rinse, turn the water off, condition, turn the water on.
Now for the fillers out there, you can have nice long hair if you want to, but I gone ahead and shaved my head. Not because I need to, but because it saves a lot of water.
And I'm gonna give him a bad COVID haircut.
Oh man, that was quite something. We're not gonna talk about that here. Now one big thing that has really changed things for us so that we don't have to run the furnace is to go ahead and pull out our down comforter. Anytime we get below about 45 degrees, we pull that out, and what a difference. We are like toasty in there.
Yeah, so we change our bedding out seasonally so the comforter doesn't stay on the bed all year round, and we have a quilt that we use in the summer only, and then kind of we use both in the winter time to keep us really warm.
And we're very efficient. The way that, well, we don't pack, actually. We don't pack because we live in our rig full time. So we bring our winter gear, that stays under the bed, and then our summer gear comes out or goes away, depending, right? So we swap those out. So it is one of those things that actually helps save us on propane and battery power. We also, however, we have the spray foam insulation package, and that is a very big deal. For us, we never winterize because we live in it year round, and you could still use your trailer all winter long, even below freezing, by simply bringing your water in manually. But we like to fill the tank and it's all automatic for us. So for us, having the tank heaters and the insulation package was well worth the investment for us.
Absolutely.
And so that also keeps our feet a little warmer.
Yeah, it helps not only just with the water, but really keeping, like when it's cold outside, it keeps the warm in and the cold out, and vice versa in the summer. When it's hot outside, it keeps kind of the hot out more and the cold in more.
And ultimately, you know, when you combine that insulation package with the Reflectix material that will block heat and such, or keep things in, it allows the tools that we do have for heating and cooling to be a lot more efficient and to not have to run nearly as much. Not just a few other factors. Solar panels are how we get all of our power, and we have a total of 2,000 potential watts. We're not going to get that, right? Now on cloudy days, do we get power?
Yes.
Yes. Are we getting less power? Absolutely. Do we even get power on rainy days? Yeah. Now, a lot of times, unless you're in the Pacific Northwest, the clouds will come and go, and so we're still charging up. You can use that to your advantage. So say we're running the air fryer, we might run it when it's sunny out, and we might need to change how we eat, our eating schedule.
Yeah. I think that a key is that, like with solar, you don't have to have a clear sky in order to get power.
Right.
You just have to monitor your levels a little bit.
If you're getting less, use less. If you're getting more, enjoy your abundance, right? And I don't try to let anything go to waste, because if we're getting, full sun and our batteries are in float, turn it on, you know what I mean? Run the slow cookers.
Yeah.
Turn it on, run the slow cooker, right? Let that work. So that is one factor. Now, of course, you can always buy more energy efficient appliances, and those are a wonderful thing. You can also, in terms of heating and cooling and not having to do so much, because it can be kind of expensive, go ahead and chase 70 degrees if you have the opportunity. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But the other factor, especially with solar, is going to be the latitude and the elevation. And so we go ahead and drop in latitude when we can, because in the winter we can get as much power as we want, especially if you head to somewhere like Quartzside in Nevada.
It changes the direction of the sun. So the lower the latitude, the higher up in the sky the sun will be. And then that means you're getting more direct sunlight on your panels.
A great example, Alaska. They get very little sunlight in the winter, but they have excellent sunlight, great for solar, in the summer.
Yeah.
The other thing, there's all sorts of variables, such as the cooler the panels, the more efficient, in fact.
Yeah.
Which is not something a lot of folks even consider. So if you want to have optimal solar, go to a cool, sunny place.
Yeah.
But you can always head down to the beautiful desert in the winter, and a lot of folks do snowbird, and it's a great thing.
And if you're wondering how we do find these pretty cool spots that we do find, we use two main methods. We use the free version of iOverlander, or we use freecampsites.net, and they're really easy to use, and you can just find spots and people add spots. You can also contribute spots if you find something that's not there.
Absolutely. We also find dump stations, or they call them like sandy dumps and things like that. That's a wonderful thing. You can see it on both applications. You can also find, say, more affordable or even more luxurious campgrounds and RV parks, RV resorts, all that good stuff.
And you can read other people's reviews of these different places, which really help.
Especially road conditions getting in.
Road conditions getting in. Like there was one spot there, like, this is a beautiful place, but then there were a lot of like little critters that came and were all over the place and like in my rig, so that wasn't a place. And we're like, no, not that one. So.
And you might wonder about safety. Safety is not something that we have ever had concerns about, especially the farther away from civilization we get, the better it generally is. But we also avoid anything that's in one of these apps or sites and such that doesn't seem like it's a good spot or there's been a bad review. There are also things like Campendium, and there are Facebook groups and all sorts of good stuff. So use your resources. It's out there.
Yeah.
If in doubt and you are not sure where to go, there's nothing listed somewhere. You can also check your local BLM office, check for a map, look for camping regulations and things like that. It's a very easy and important things to do. There's also U.S. Forest Service. Canada has something very similar.
Yeah. And the DNRs for a lot of states will have maps.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great resources, and it does change state to state, as you might expect. So check your local locales to where you go. For us, we don't plan out more than a day or two, generally speaking. We might have a destination in mind, but we find beautiful places like this, and it's been wonderful. And our Escape is the perfect size for us. We have got a lot of room. We keep our dogs in there. They've got their little beds. They are very happy. The whole world is our backyard. I mean, you can't beat it.
That, and I think our Escape is the perfect size to be capable enough to get into a lot of these places.
Any bigger, this guy would not have made it.
Yeah, any bigger, this wouldn't have fit. And there have been quite a few instances where we found that, like, if it was any bigger, we wouldn't be able to get in some of these places.
And especially when you consider in national parks, you're going to be doing boondocking. We just call it a regular campground, but boondocking. And so a lot of those sites, though, you want to limit how long your rig is because of that.
Yeah.
So boondocking is something that you want to try. Give it a shot. Worst case, you head back and you find some hookups.
Yep.
There's one rule to remember above all else, which is leave no trace. And leave the spots better than you found it.
Yep. Make sure you take all your trash with you. Make sure you clean up any firewood. Make sure all your fires are completely out.
Completely out, yep.
Completely out. Really just leave it better than you found it.
Absolutely. So it's been a great time, 10 years in, and I'd live no other way.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. This is Joel and Emma with Cozy Living Machine on behalf of Escape, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye, guys.
Bye.